Emma woke up to the soft glow of sunlight spilling through her bedroom window, a quiet warmth brushing against her face. Today was her birthday, and even though it should have felt like a normal day, her heart raced with a mixture of excitement and a strange tension. Lately life with Daniel, her husband of 7 years, had felt predictable, safe, but a little dull. Their laughter had softened over time, evenings felt quieter than they used to, and sometimes she wondered if the love they shared had shifted into something gentler, less intense. She told herself today would be different, that she deserved a special day, and maybe Daniel felt the same. She rose from the bed slowly, stretching as the sunlight touched her skin. The scent of coffee wafting from the kitchen pulled her downstairs, and she found herself smiling even before seeing him. The house was quiet except for the soft clinking of dishes and the low hum of the morning. On the living room table, something unusual caught her eye. A small, neatly wrapped box sat alone, carefully placed, with a handwritten note beside it that read, "For you, with all my love." Her fingers trembled slightly as she picked it up, the paper smooth and delicate under her touch. The handwriting was unmistakably Daniel's, and the sight of it made her chest tighten in a warm, fluttering way. She felt that old, familiar spark she hadn't felt in weeks, maybe months. The excitement of being remembered, appreciated, loved, washed over her. Like a wave, she carefully tore away the wrapping, revealing a delicate necklace with a tiny heart pendant that seemed to glow in the morning light. It was simple but elegant, exactly the kind of thing she had admired in shop windows but never thought Daniel would buy for her. She felt tears prick her eyes as a surge of emotion passed through her. This was more than a gift, it was a message, a reminder that he still cared, that he noticed her, that he still loved her in ways that mattered. She looked up at him, expecting the usual smile, and found him watching her quietly, his eyes soft, a little nervous, a little shy. "Happy birthday, Emma," he said in a low, sincere voice, stepping closer. "I wanted you to have something that reminded you how much you mean to me." She reached for his hand, their fingers brushing, and a warmth spread through her chest that she hadn't felt in a long time. She wanted to hold on to this moment forever. But just as she fastened the necklace around her neck, a subtle buzz from her phone made her jump slightly. She glanced down and saw a message from an unknown number. The words were short, chilling in their simplicity. "I saw him yesterday." Her heart skipped a beat, confusion and fear mingling with the happiness she felt. Her mind raced to understand who could have sent this message, what it could mean. She tried to push it aside, forcing a smile at Daniel, who was still standing there with that gentle, nervous expression she didn't want. This day, the one day she had hoped to feel special and loved, to be tainted by worry or suspicion. She reminded herself that birthdays were about love, about kindness, about feeling cherished, and she wanted to focus on the love in this room, not the message that had arrived uninvited. After a moment, Daniel suggested breakfast together, something simple, something comforting, and she felt her heart settle a little. The smell of freshly brewed coffee and warm toast filled the kitchen. The soft chatter and laughter between them made her forget the buzzing phone for a while. She felt almost giddy as she poured syrup over pancakes, the necklace swinging lightly against her chest, sparkling like it held secrets of its own. Every glance at Daniel made her heart flutter. Memories of early days of love, secret smiles, and quiet touches replayed in her mind. She felt alive, seen, appreciated, and for a fleeting moment, she believed that the quiet distance that had crept into their life might be disappearing. Yet even in this moment of happiness, the words from the unknown message lingered, whispering doubts, tiny shadows at the edge of her joy. She wondered if she was imagining things, if the message had no meaning, if she was letting paranoia creep into what should have been a pure moment of love. She shook her head, determined not to let it ruin her morning. After breakfast, Daniel suggested they go for a walk, a gentle stroll through the quiet streets near their home, autumn leaves swirling in the soft morning breeze. She felt the cool air against her skin, the crunch of leaves under her feet, and a rush of happiness that maybe today was truly special. Holding his hand as they walked, feeling the warmth of his palm, she remembered why she had fallen in love with him. The little things, the way he listened, the way he smiled, the way he made her feel safe even when the world outside felt chaotic. But as they walked, she noticed Daniel seemed distracted, glancing at his phone, a tension in his shoulders that hadn't been there before. It wasn't alarming, but it was noticeable enough to pull her mind back to the strange message she had received. Curiosity and unease bubbled inside her. She wanted to ask, to know, but a small voice in her head told her to wait, to trust that today was meant to be about love. They walked in silence for a few minutes, watching children play in the park, laughing, chasing each other, the sound warm and comforting. But Emma's heart beat a little faster. The quiet moments felt heavier now, filled with unspoken thoughts. She forced herself to smile, to soak in the day, to believe in Daniel and the love they shared. She didn't want suspicion to creep into the happiness she felt from his gift. When they returned home, Emma tried to focus on little things. The flowers Daniel had placed on the kitchen table, the way his eyes softened when he looked at her, the way the morning sunlight made the room glow. She wanted to hold on to the joy, but the shadow of that message still tugged at her mind. As she tidied up the living room, Daniel stepped outside, talking on the phone quietly, his expression unreadable, and she felt that strange mix of worry and longing. She wanted to ask him what was wrong, but didn't, hoping it was nothing, hoping it wouldn't spoil the magic of her birthday. Dinner came and went with laughter and soft conversation, but Emma's mind drifted back to that simple, haunting text, even as she thanked Daniel for the necklace and smiled at his jokes. A small part of her couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that something was unfolding behind the scenes, that love, while present, might be more fragile than she wanted to admit. When night fell, she lay in bed, the necklace resting lightly against her chest, glittering in the moonlight streaming through the window. Memories of past birthdays, past surprises, and quiet nights together flooded her mind. She thought about the message, about Daniel's distracted glances, about how love could feel both comforting and fragile at the same time. She turned over the note Daniel had left on the table, reading it again, and found a small envelope with her name written in familiar handwriting. Inside, another note simply said, "Meet me by the old pier tomorrow morning. I have something to show you." Her pulse quickened. She felt a mix of excitement and fear, hope and anxiety swirling together in her chest. She didn't know what Daniel had planned, whether it was another gift, another revelation, or something else entirely. She stared at the ceiling, feeling her heart beat fast, the necklace gleaming as if it shared in her suspense. She knew this birthday was no ordinary day. It carried a promise, a test, a story waiting to unfold. And as she drifted into a restless sleep, her dreams were filled with light, shadows, love, and the unknown, a quiet whisper telling her that her life, her heart, and her love for Daniel were about to change in ways she could never have expected. The morning air was crisp as Emma stepped out of her house, the necklace Daniel had given her glinting in the soft sunlight. Her heart pounded with a mix of excitement and nervousness as she drove slowly toward the old pier. The streets were quiet, leaves drifting along the sidewalks like little golden promises. She kept thinking about the note he had left, the words simple yet filled with mystery. "I have something to show you." She couldn't imagine what it might be, maybe another thoughtful gift, maybe something he wanted to share about their future, or perhaps it was a surprise he had been planning for weeks. Her mind raced with possibilities, each one making her stomach twist with anticipation. As she pulled into the small parking area near the pier, she saw Daniel already there, leaning against the railing, staring at the water. The reflection of sunlight on the waves mirrored the anxious fluttering in her chest. He looked up as she approached, and for a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. His eyes softened when he saw her, but there was something else there, a tension she couldn't quite place. "Emma," he said, his voice low, almost hesitant, "I wanted to show you something important, something I should have shared long ago." She felt her pulse quicken, the words carrying a weight that made her catch her breath. She nodded silently, her hands gripping the railing as she tried to steady herself. Daniel handed her a small box, plain, unassuming. Unlike the elegant gift from the day before, her fingers trembled as she opened it, and inside were letters, photographs, and receipts, evidence of a life she hadn't known fully existed. She flipped through the papers quickly, memories of their years together mixing with the shock of realizing there had been moments he hadn't shared, photographs of him with another woman, letters hinting at meetings she had never known about. Her stomach dropped, a sharp, twisting ache of confusion and betrayal settled deep in her chest. She wanted to scream, to demand answers, but instead, she stood frozen, letting the waves and the wind fill the silence between them. Daniel stepped closer, his expression full of regret. "I never wanted you to find out this way," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "I made a mistake, Emma. I was wrong, but I love you. I have always loved you." She looked at him, her eyes wide, trying to reconcile the man she had known and loved with the man holding secrets she had just uncovered. The necklace pressed lightly against her skin, sparkling as if mocking her confusion. She felt tears burning her eyes, a mixture of heartbreak, disbelief, and a strange longing. She wanted to hate him, but part of her still wanted to hold on to the warmth she had felt the day before. She wanted to believe that love could survive mistakes, that their years together could outweigh the moments of secrecy. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered, her voice trembling, the wind carrying it away. Daniel reached for her hand, but she pulled it back. "I was scared," he admitted, "scared of losing you. Scared of ruining what we had. I thought I could fix it before you found out, but I was wrong." Emma felt a swirl of emotions, love, anger, disappointment, hope, all tangled together. The waves below mirrored the turbulence in her heart. She wanted clarity, she wanted honesty. She wanted to understand how the man she had trusted could be the same one making her feel so fragile. She took a step back, looking at the water, thinking about the years of shared smiles, quiet conversations, and late-night talks that had built the foundation of their marriage. She realized that the truth, no matter how painful, could not erase all the love she still felt. Daniel's eyes followed her, full of pleading and desperation. "I'll do anything to make this right," he said softly. "I can't undo the past, but I want to be better. I want us to be stronger." Emma's mind raced, thinking of the quiet moments they had shared, the laughter, the comfort, the life they had built together. Could it survive this revelation? Could love truly forgive and endure? She let herself feel the pain fully, acknowledging the hurt, the fear, the betrayal, while also remembering the gifts of love and care he had shown her, the necklace, the small gestures, the moments when his love had made her feel cherished. She realized that love was not simple. It was messy, complicated, and fragile, but also powerful, capable of surviving storms if both hearts were willing. Daniel watched her carefully, giving her space but also hoping for a sign. any sign that she might understand his remorse and still believe in them. Emma's eyes softened slightly, not with full forgiveness, but with the faint glimmer of hope. She didn't speak for a long while, letting the silence carry the weight of the moment, feeling the cool breeze, listening to the gentle lapping of the waves, thinking about what she wanted, what she could accept, and how she could move forward without losing herself. Finally, she spoke, her voice quiet but steady. "I need time, Daniel, time to think, to feel, to understand if love is enough." He nodded, swallowing hard, the pain of seeing her struggle mirrored in his own eyes. "I'll wait, Emma, as long as it takes." She turned away, walking along the edge of the pier, feeling the sunlight on her face, the necklace glinting, a reminder of both love and fragility. Each step heavy with the weight of emotions she hadn't fully processed, memories of past birthdays, small surprises, quiet nights, and shared dreams filled her mind. Yet the new reality, the truth about Daniel's mistake, pressed against her heart. She knew the path ahead would be uncertain. She knew she had to navigate the delicate balance between trust and doubt, hurt and hope. The pier stretched ahead like a metaphor for her journey, the water reflecting both light and shadow. She realized that love required courage. The courage to face pain, to ask questions, to set boundaries, and to decide if forgiveness was possible. Daniel followed slowly, careful not to crowd her, his presence a mix of reassurance and anxiety. He wanted her to see that he was committed to making things right, that the love he felt was real, and that he was willing to prove it. She glanced back briefly, seeing the genuine regret in his eyes, feeling the echoes of their shared history, the warmth of their connection, and yet also the sting of betrayal. Tears filled her eyes, not only from sadness but from the complexity of emotions she was experiencing. The necklace against her chest felt like a fragile anchor, connecting her to both the past joy and present uncertainty. She walked a little further, stopping to watch a seagull glide above the water, the freedom of the bird a sharp contrast to the heaviness in her chest. She took a deep breath, trying to clear her mind, to find clarity amidst the storm. Daniel's voice broke the silence softly. "I know I don't deserve it, but I hope we can find a way back to each other. I hope we can heal." She turned to him, seeing the vulnerability in his stance, the sincerity in his words, and felt a flicker of the trust she had once taken for granted. She wanted to believe, she wanted to let love win, but the hurt was still raw, and she had to protect her heart. "We'll see," she said softly, letting the words hang between them. A small, cautious opening, not a promise, but a start. They stood in silence together, the waves carrying their unspoken emotions, the necklace gleaming in the sunlight as if to remind her that love, even when tested, could still exist. She realized that birthdays, gifts, and gestures were not just about joy and celebration. They were also moments that revealed truth, tested hearts, and challenged trust. She felt the bittersweet mix of emotions, knowing that the journey ahead would be uncertain, full of questions, hope, and perhaps even new beginnings. She looked at Daniel one last time before walking back toward the shore, the wind in her hair, the sun on her face, the necklace resting lightly against her chest, and understood that love, fragile as it could be, was worth the courage to face it, to question it, and maybe, one day, to embrace it fully again. And as they walked back together slowly, the pier stretching behind them, the water reflecting both shadow and light, Emma felt the first glimmer of understanding that this moment, painful and confusing as it was, could be the turning point for both of them. A moment where honesty, vulnerability, and the willingness to forgive could create a new chapter in their story, a story that had been tested but still held the promise of love. And with each step she took, she realized that while the past could not be changed. The future was still theirs to shape, together or apart, and the choice, as always, was hers. The morning was quiet as Emma woke, the sunlight soft and warm through her bedroom window. The necklace Daniel had given her yesterday resting lightly against her chest. She held it in her fingers for a moment, feeling its delicate weight, a symbol of both love and fragility. Last night had been long and sleepless, her mind racing with thoughts of Daniel, of the letters, photographs, and receipts she had discovered at the pier. She had turned them over in her hands countless times, questioning the man she had loved, the life they had shared, and whether the bond between them could survive this test. Yet even in the midst of doubt, there was a quiet hope stirring in her heart, a hope that love, true and honest, could find a way back. She dressed carefully, choosing a simple outfit, nothing flashy, something comfortable but thoughtful, the kind of attire that felt like a fresh start. She looked at herself in the mirror, her hair falling softly around her face, the necklace catching the morning light, and took a deep breath, feeling both nervous and ready as she made her way to the pier once again. The streets were calm, leaves drifting in the breeze, the air carrying a cool freshness that seemed to clear her mind. When she arrived, Daniel was already there, leaning on the railing, looking out at the water, his posture tense, yet there was a vulnerability she hadn't seen before. As she stepped closer, he turned to her, a small, tentative smile on his lips. "Emma," he said softly, "thank you for coming. I know this isn't easy. I know I hurt you, but I want to be honest. I want to show you everything." She nodded silently, feeling her heart beat faster. The anticipation of what was to come, the mixture of fear and hope, twisted inside her chest. He handed her a new folder, this one organized, labeled with dates and notes, evidence of meetings, of mistakes, but also of steps he had taken to correct them. She opened it slowly, her eyes scanning letters, messages, and small details of the past months, memories of joy and love intertwined with moments of betrayal and secrecy. Her stomach twisted with emotion, the pain of what she had discovered yesterday still fresh, yet alongside it, she felt the weight of his remorse, the sincerity in his efforts to show her the truth. "I know I can't undo the past," he said, his voice trembling. "I can't erase the mistakes I made, but I can be transparent. I can choose honesty from now on. I want you to see that I am committed to you, to us, to rebuilding what I almost lost." Emma looked up at him, her eyes wide, a swirl of emotions flooding her, love, doubt, anger, hope, longing, fear, each one competing for space in her heart. She felt tears brimming, yet she held them back, wanting to take in every word, every gesture, every moment, to understand the depth of his regret and the strength of his love. She remembered their early days, the laughter, the quiet evenings together, the small gestures of care and thoughtfulness that had made her fall in love with him, and she wondered if those moments could still be the foundation for something new. She realized that love was not simple. It was messy, unpredictable, and sometimes painful, but also resilient, capable of surviving even when tested in ways she hadn't imagined. Daniel reached for her hand again, his eyes searching hers. "I know I don't deserve it yet, but I hope you can see that I am trying, that I want to make things right." She felt the warmth of his hand against hers, hesitant at first, a spark of comfort and connection she hadn't felt since the necklace first touched her skin. The waves lapped softly below them, the pier stretching behind, a symbol of the journey they were both on. She felt a quiet courage rising, a willingness to confront pain, to face uncertainty, and maybe, to forgive. She took a deep breath, letting the cool morning air fill her lungs, feeling the tension in her chest ease slightly. She looked at Daniel and saw a reflection of her own struggle, the longing to be forgiven, to start again. to reclaim the love that had always been there beneath the mistakes. They stood together in silence, the wind moving softly through her hair, the sunlight glinting off the necklace, a reminder of love's fragility and strength. Emma's mind wandered through the memories of birthdays past, small surprises, quiet nights, and shared laughter. She realized that life was a series of moments, some beautiful, some painful, but all shaping the people they were. Daniel spoke again, gently. I don't want to pressure you. I just want you to know I am here, and I am yours, if you can find it in your heart to trust me again. She nodded slowly, feeling the weight of his words, feeling the love they shared, and the challenge it now carried. Tears finally slipped down her cheeks, not only for the heartbreak but also for the hope that love could still endure. She let herself feel the complexity fully, accepting the pain and embracing the possibility of healing. She turned toward the water, watching the sunlight dance across the gentle waves, the sound of the sea grounding her, reminding her that life moved forward, that moments of joy and sorrow were both fleeting and eternal. She felt Daniel's hand brush hers again, firmer this time, and she didn't pull away. Instead, she allowed herself to be held, feeling the warmth, the sincerity, the love that had carried them through 7 years, and now, in the face of truth and mistakes, could carry them into something new. They walked slowly along the pier, side by side, their steps in quiet harmony, the tension easing with each moment, the necklace swinging gently against her chest, a small, beautiful anchor connecting her to both the past and the hope of the future. She thought about forgiveness, about trust, and about the courage it took to rebuild love when it had been tested so severely. She realized that it wasn't about erasing the past but about choosing each other again, consciously, intentionally, day by day. Daniel spoke softly. We can take it slow. I don't want to rush anything. I just want to show you that my love is real, and that I will fight for us every day. She glanced at him, the sincerity in his eyes undeniable, a small, tentative smile forming, her heart fluttering with the faint thrill of possibility. She allowed herself to hope, not blindly, not naively, but carefully, with open eyes and a willing heart. They stopped at the end of the pier, watching the horizon, the sunlight reflecting on the water, golden and warm, the world around them quiet and serene. Emma felt a sense of calm she hadn't known in weeks, the necklace glinting as if affirming the fragile, delicate, and precious nature of love. She realized that life didn't always follow a smooth path, but moments like this, moments of honesty, vulnerability, and reconciliation, could redefine everything. She felt the tension between heartbreak and hope, regret and forgiveness, all mingling together into a powerful awareness of love's resilience. Daniel's hand still gently holding hers, she looked at him, her eyes brimming with emotion, and whispered, I'm not sure what the future holds, Daniel, but I want to try. I want to see if love is enough. He smiled, a mixture of relief, gratitude, and hope shining in his eyes. That's all I could ever ask for, he said softly. We'll take it one day at a time. They stood there, watching the waves, the gentle wind moving around them, feeling a renewed connection. The necklace resting lightly against her chest, a symbol of both the fragility and strength of what they shared. Emma realized that love wasn't perfect, it wasn't always easy, but it was worth the courage, the effort, the willingness to face both the pain and the joy together. She knew the journey ahead would be challenging, that doubts and fears might return, but she also knew that in this moment, they had taken the first step toward healing, toward reclaiming what they had almost lost. The pier behind them stretched like a bridge between past and future, between mistakes and forgiveness, between heartbreak and hope. She let herself feel the beauty of the morning, the strength of their connection, and the quiet promise that love, when nurtured and protected, could survive even the hardest trials. Hand in hand, they began walking back toward the shore, the necklace catching the sunlight, shimmering as a reminder that life, love, and trust were precious, fragile, and infinitely worth it. She realized that birthdays were not just about gifts, but about moments that tested the heart, revealed truths, and offered opportunities to begin again. And as the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting a golden glow over the pier and the water, Emma felt a quiet certainty, a hope wrapped in tenderness, that their story, though scarred, could continue, and that love, fragile yet resilient, could always find a way back to the heart.